In this lesson, I want to demo a couple of additional editing techniques for you. So I've set up a little play area right here. I'm going to come up to this one right here. I'm going to click and drag to create a selection and do the same thing to this one. Now that means when I get in here with the hand tool and drag it down, it only gives me that piece. I'll do the same thing up here to this one. What that does for me though is it gives me edit material on both sides. Now, if we go into our selection tool, we know this, we can go to, say, the end of this one and trim it. But in doing so, we are changing the overall timeline itself in terms of length, and a lot of times that is not desirable. You've got it set to a certain length, you want to maintain that, but you still want to edit. So if we go to the trim tool, letter T for shortcut, if we get, say, right here, you'll notice there is that icon that appears to the right or to the left or on both. If you have it on both and you click and drag, the trim that you're doing basically is maintaining the integrity of the timeline in terms of length, but that's only because we have edit material we can work with on both sides. If we get in right here, get into one of the clips and click and drag, we're doing a slip edit. Now a slip edit basically is changing the in and out points, and you will notice in my viewer I can see the in and the out points, just like that. Now the reason I can see that in the viewer is because if you go up to Final Cut Pro Preferences and go into Editing, Show Detailed Trimming Feedback is selected. Now the good news is in this version of Final Cut Pro, that's a default selection. But if you don't see that double window coming up, assuming you want that, just go into Preferences and set that. Now that's called a slip edit. It allows me to slip the clip without changing the overall length of the timeline, and in many cases that's really important. But there's one more you can do. Hold down with the trim tool, hold down the Option key, and now drag. When you do, it changes the clip to the left or to the right if there was one, but it does not change the integrity of the clip that you're selecting. Now in my case, that does change the length of the timeline, of course, but if I had another clip over here that had edit material that I could work with, it would slide this one, it's called a slide, it would slide this one between the two, and it would still maintain the integrity of the timeline because this one over here would be picking up the slack. So trimming, slipping, and sliding are three more good techniques to use when you're editing in Final Cut Pro to produce that blockbuster of a movie.